The NBA is on the road to do something that's never been done in its 74-year history. In just a few short weeks, and after almost 4 months of no basketball, the league will be resuming its season in Orlando, at Disney World, and inside a bubble. You can check out one of my past videos on what that will look like. But as crazy as that is, many teams will also be dealing with rosters that look a lot different than when the regular season came to a halt. Because the reality is, many players don't want to come back this season. Some are worried about the risk of injury. Others chose to undergo season-ending surgery with the impression that the season was over. And even more don't want games to distract from social justice movements around the country. In today's video, I'll be looking at 5 players that, for their own reasons, are sitting this one out. I'll tell you how their teams will need to adjust to their absence, and what it means for the team's hopes for the playoffs and beyond. How's it going, everybody? This is Troy with the Half Court Report YouTube channel. The first player I want to talk about is Avery Bradley of the Lakers. He's announced he'll be skipping the remainder of the season due to health concerns for his family. Bradley is in his first season with the Lakers and has started 44 games as a 3-and-D guard. His role is pretty well defined. On offense, be open if LeBron needs to kick it out. On defense, be a bulldog to opposing guards, and basically just make their time on the court as miserable as possible. He's a veteran who understands what's expected of him, but in terms of the void that will be left from Bradley not competing the rest of the season, I don't see a huge cause for concern. Bradley's averaging just over 8 points. That's the lowest since his second year in the NBA. His monster rebounding numbers from his days in Boston are a distant memory too. Basically, if the Lakers want a better option for the backcourt, then they're not going to have to look too far. They can get bigger by slotting in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, the newly signed Dion Waiters, or the even more newly signed J.R. Smith. And you can laugh all you want, but any of those 3 guys can get hot from 3, and they're not going to kill you on defense either. Then there's backup point guard Alex Caruso. He's a bigger and more versatile defender than Bradley, and offers the playmaking that Bradley lacks. Caruso can be a perfect complementary role player and has the best net rating next to LeBron of anyone in the Lakers rotation, and far ahead of Bradley. Simply put, net rating can be defined as how much better or worse a team is when a specific player is on the court. Caruso has a net rating of plus 20.8 in 485 minutes versus a net rating of plus 8.9 in 904 minutes for Bradley. All in all, the Lakers are going to be fine. Next, the San Antonio Spurs have been delaying their youth movement for far too long. But with the news of LaMarcus Aldridge's ongoing recovery from season-ending shoulder surgery, the time for that youth movement is now. San Antonio will need to discover a new identity without Aldridge, and that could come with productive play from Jakob Pirtle. Since coming over in the Kawhi Leonard trade 2 seasons ago, the 7-foot Pirtle has averaged 5 points and 5 rebounds per game. But what Pirtle lacks in offense, he makes up for in a big way on the defensive end, averaging 3 blocks per 36 minutes. So with the assumption that Pirtle is now going to be moving into the starting lineup, one option for the Spurs would be to surround him with better shooters. Now, no one expects Pirtle to make up for Aldridge's on-court production, but I would expect Trey Lyles, Marco Bellinelli, and possibly even Luka Samanic to see an increase in minutes. They'll help to spread the floor for Pirtle and hopefully let him get a few easy buckets. Next, the big loss for Utah is with Bojan Bogdanovich. Losing Bogdanovich, who had wrist surgery in May, could be a devastating blow for the Jazz. Before the shutdown, in his first season with the Jazz, Bogdanovich was averaging 20.2 points and shooting over 41% from the three-point line, and that's with over 7 attempts per game. His ability to stretch the floor as a power forward really allowed the Jazz to modernize their offense this season. As a result, a lot more is going to be on the shoulders of Joe Ingles. The key will be how Ingles handles Bogdanovich's role. Both Ingles and Bogdanovich are big wings with an elite three-point shot and the ability to handle the ball. The difference is that Ingles is the superior defender and playmaker, while Bogdanovich is a more aggressive scorer. This season, Ingles shot almost 40% from three on almost 5 attempts per game, and he's going to have to let it fly more often with Bogdanovich out. If I were the Utah coaches, I'd want Ingles to shoot about 7 or 8 threes per game. That'll help keep the floor spaced around Donovan Mitchell, Mike Conley, and Rudy Gobert. Portland's Trevor Ariza is also out of Orlando due to family reasons. Ariza became the Blazers' only 3-and-D wing when they traded for him at the deadline for Kent Bazemore. That skill set is incredibly valuable on a Portland team that starts Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum in the backcourt and Carmelo Anthony at the power forward spot. The Blazers will likely have to lean on youth in the absence of Ariza. Nasir Little, who is a first-round pick out of North Carolina, is going to be one of the first guys called on. He's an elite athlete with a work-in-progress jump shot who's still adjusting to the NBA game. Another option is Gary Trent Jr., a second-round pick in 2018 who was having a breakout season as a bench scorer before the shutdown. The problem with him, though, is that at 6'5" and about 200 pounds, he doesn't have the ideal size to play the three. One outside-the-box solution might be to close games with promising second-year guard Anthony Simons in a 3-guard lineup to try to shoot teams off the floor. All in all, though, it's looking harder and harder for Portland to grab that final playoff spot. Finally, Davis Bertans made news when he shut himself down for the season for the Washington Wizards. I don't believe he's injured, he just wants to play it safe because he's going to be a free agent this offseason, and the last thing he wants to do is get injured and have to take less money, or even worse, go unsigned next season. Bertans has been a breakout star in his first year with the Wizards since coming over from the Spurs. He's averaging 15.4 points while shooting over 42% from three on almost 9 shot attempts per game. Basically, he's a 6'10 JJ Redick. The dude has Steph Curry range, too. The Wizards are going to need their young guys to make up the difference. One option is second-year big man Mo Wagner, who took almost as many threes per 36 minutes of playing time as he did in his rookie season with the Lakers. That decline never really made a whole lot of sense considering that outside shooting is Wagner's best skill. Past him, it's really slim pickings on the perimeter. First-round pick Rui Hachimura and 2018 first-round pick Troy Brown Jr. are more comfortable in the mid-range. They can maybe equal Bertans' production, but there's no way they can stretch the floor like he can. Brad Beal already has a tough road ahead of him to get the Wizards to the playoffs, and losing Bertans just makes that much more difficult. That's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you think about the different lineups that we're going to see once the NBA season resumes in late July. The Lakers, of course, they have the resources to overcome the loss of Avery Bradley. They're still going to be the favorites, I think, to come out of the West, even over the Clippers. San Antonio was already unlikely to make the postseason, and without LaMarcus Aldridge, their only go-to guy is DeMar DeRozan, and I think at this point in his career, he is a third option. The Spurs have had a good run, but it is time to focus on developing the young guys for the rest of the season and just try to hit a home run once the 2020 draft rolls around. As for the Utah Jazz, I think the loss of Bogdanovich could really change how the West playoffs shake out. The Jazz are in danger of falling back far enough in the standings and having to face one of the LA teams in the first round, and that would be a complete disaster for them. And the option for replacing Bogdanovich with someone on the free agent market is pretty slim. So that's something we're going to have to keep our eye on and see how the rest of the season shakes out for Utah. Portland is going to be playing a lot of small ball with Ariza out of the lineup. They're going to be getting Zach Collins back. They're going to be getting Jusuf Nurkic back, which is good news for them. But as is usually the case with the Trailblazers, Lillard, McCollum, they're really going to have to step it up. And finally, with the Washington Wizards, they didn't have much of a shot of making the playoffs anyway. Now without Bertans, you might as well just tank the remaining 8 games of the season and try to jockey for lottery positioning. Still don't quite understand why they were invited to finish out the season in the first place. So I think we can say by all intents and purposes the Eastern Conference playoffs are set with the 8 teams that are currently in those spots. Maybe some shifting with the seedings, but I think the 8 teams are determined. Thanks to everyone for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.